Hello, everybody. This is the lesson for April 1st, April Fool's Day, 2021. And this is about the Thai Cave Rescue. So what we're doing in science right now is talking about surface waters. And this is about a group of people that got trapped when heavy rains began to flood an area, and then the waters went underground, so they're not surface waters anymore. Basically, picture a river going underground and trapping people. Hopefully you remember this from a few years ago when 12 kids from a soccer team in Thailand and their coach went in for some harmless cave exploring in a cave that's open to the public. They weren't doing anything wrong. They went in way in, and then, unbeknownst to them, it began to heavily rain outside, and then the cave flooded and they were trapped. Most people assumed they were already drowned, or they would eventually drown before anybody could ever find them. Spoiler alert, they were rescued. It was an amazing story, okay? So, time is of the essence. I don't expect you to write this down. I do expect you to know the material and to either maybe take a picture of these notes on your device or something, okay? This will be posted on Google Classroom, so hopefully you'll be able to access it, okay? Let me get rid of that. Okay. This is the details ahead of time before I show you the video. 12 boys from a soccer team and their coach. Now this is going to be my lovely handwriting. Hopefully it's where you can legible. Okay, 12 boys from a soccer team and their coach went into a popular tourist cave in northern Thailand on June 23rd, 2018. Remember that date, June 23rd. Okay. It was not raining. Began heavy rain while inside. The cave flooded and they were trapped. Okay. The cave is about 4 miles long and it's underneath a mountain. Okay. So you got water and mountains obviously running downhill, and it's eating its way through the limestone, the soft sedimentary rock, through the centuries. And it's a long up and down. Those are not waves. That's the cave going up and down underground. Okay? It's a long tube. And sometimes there's water flowing in it, and sometimes there isn't. Okay? So I wrote down it's a long up and down tube or river dissolved into the soft limestone. And you can't see this because I have my camera too low. Okay, next. Rescuers, when they knew they were in there because they found their bikes parked at the entrance. Okay, the group was found on July 2nd. Dude, that's over a week. These poor kids and coach were inside in the dark without food or water, complete dark. They don't have cell phones and all that stuff. Even if somebody did have a cell phone with them, their battery's dead after a week. Okay, June 23rd to July 2nd. It's 10 days later. Okay, they weren't instantly brought out. It was way too difficult to get people out. They were found by divers who had scuba gear. These people walked and crawled way back in there when it was safe and dry, and now it's not safe or dry. Okay? They were rescued in 3 shifts. It took, look, July 8th, 9th, and 10th. They were found on July 2nd, 10 days after they'd gone missing. But we didn't get them out till July 8th, 9th, and 10th because it took that long to get the rescue system ready to haul in tons and tons and tons of oxygen tanks for the divers to get in, the divers to get out, and also for the trapped people to be wearing oxygen tanks and to be brought out. Okay? And it wasn't an easy, here kid, put this oxygen mask on, we're going to take you out kind of thing. Wait until you see what they had to do. Okay? It was something else. It took over 90 divers working inside the cave to get them out. And these are Thai divers and diving experts from all over the world. United States, France, and England, I believe. Okay, international help. Over 90 divers worked inside the cave to get them out. One diver died during the rescue prep when he was in a dangerous section and he ran out of air and he couldn't get out in time. He was a Navy SEAL. This is not an amateur. Okay, so there was a death during the rescue. Okay, and then, this is sad, another diver died 18 months later fighting terrible infections that he got from the nasty cave water. It was nasty because people had been peeing and pooping and in it from the kids that were trapped. You'd pee and poop too if you'd been stuck somewhere for a week, almost 2 weeks. Okay. Anyway, the infection got into his blood system and he died 18 months later. Okay. So none of the people that went into the cave died, but 2 of the rescuers did. All right. Now, let me show you the cave. This is a map of the cave. This is a top view. Okay. Here's the entrance, and they walked in. Notice this shape. This is the size of person, and this is what the cave's shape is like at that red slice. The people that come to class will get a color copy of this, so the red shows up. This is the size of the cave at the entrance. Now look, here is where the divers had their base. So their oxygen and stuff was hauled into here. Now look at the shape of the cave. See how much lower it is compared to a person? And then here, look, now it's a different shape. Look at the height of the person. Okay? Now, look at the shape of the cave here. That's bizarre. It's shaped like an arrowhead if you slice it like that. There's the person. Here you can stand up. Here you can stand up. Here's the smallest spot, this red thing. Look at how tight this is. And that soccer team and their coach had squeezed through here. It was dry when they went in. But then now, this part's all underwater. All underwater. Okay? I still haven't shown you where they were found. Okay? Look at the cave here. Now, look how tall it is. But it's underwater. This is filled in with water. Look at the size of the person. And here's where they were found. On this little tiny ledge. Slippery. Completely dark. Nothing to eat. Very, very cold. Very, very wet. Stinky, nasty. And the only thing they did to keep alive, they could lick the water running down the walls of the cave. They did not drink that water. That's where everybody was peeing and pooping. Okay? They didn't have to poop very much because they didn't eat. But anyway, that's where they were rescued. And they were found on a slippery ledge like right there. They were about 4 miles in. All right, now I'm going to hit play and we're going to watch parts of the video. We will not get the whole thing done. There's just no way. All right, I'm going to hit play.
2 miles into the ground, a mile deep, under the earth.
Zero visibility, you've got to follow a guideline, and you've got kids that are not even swimmers. They had pretty much the perfect storm.
These kids didn't know how to swim.
Their exit threatened by rising monsoon floodwaters.
You've got no way out if it goes wrong.
And falling oxygen levels.
Heart rate, confusion, headaches, your heart stops, you die.
Their survival depends on the heroic efforts of thousands from every corner of the globe. And all under the watchful eyes of the world. With exclusive access and unseen footage, we can now reveal the untold story.
We were extremely fortunate. What was accomplished.
I haven't told you how they got him out.
Rescue that I think has never been done.
Just wait till you find that out.
Saturday, June 23rd. 12 boys and the coach of the Wild Boars youth soccer team have been missing since morning practice. When 13 bikes are found outside a local cave complex, their families fear the worst. It's raining heavily, and the caves are prone to flooding.
วินาทีมันบีบคั้นหัวใจเราไปตลอดเพราะว่าในแต่ละวินาทีเนี่ยเขาบอกว่าน้ำมันขึ้นมาเรื่อยๆ
The cave is deep in the dense jungle of northern Thailand's remote Chiang Rai province. Most of the region's annual rain falls in just a few months, the monsoon season, with up to 4 inches of rain falling in just 24 hours, causing landslides, flash floods, and turning the normally safe cave into a death trap.
When the monsoon rains arrive, it will just run for months and it will flood the system, effectively drowning the children.
At 1 a.m. Sunday morning, rescue workers use oxygen tanks and ropes to walk into the cave. They find bags and sandals. They hope this means the boys, aged 11 to 17, and their 25-year-old coach have escaped the rushing water and retreated deeper into the narrow, winding tunnels to an elevated air pocket called Pattaya Beach, 1.5 miles in. But the cave is under 15 feet of water. The search has to stop until highly skilled divers arrive because of the cave's complex structure.
So the Tanlong cave network is perhaps best envisaged as a series of pipes. Some of those pipes are going from side to side. Some of those pipes are
Look how clear the water is there.
and sometimes the pipes come to big chambers.
When they were rescued, it wasn't clear water.
Connected together,
Quite muddy.
with a stream of water flowing through it.
Some of the cave's passages are over 30 feet high and 10 feet wide, but they're connected by smaller sections. The narrowest being less than 2 feet in diameter, barely wide enough for a grown adult to pass through. As the heavy rains fall, the cave's smaller passages are unable to transport all the water flowing into them from the bigger channels. So the water backs up and floods the chambers upstream, blocking escape.
Cave can fill up within 30 minutes quite easy and trap somebody. It doesn't take long for flood water to pour in if it's at the right volume.
Monday, June 25th. Thai authorities upped their response, dispatching their Navy SEALs into the cave's treacherous waters.
The high flow is really the biggest detriment to a rescue like that. You can see on
All right, now I fast forwarded a bunch so we get to more of the rescue part. Okay, I'm now going to hit play. It's July 2nd, the day they get found.
And the mental strength to survive the terror.
Being trapped in the dark for even a couple of hours is traumatic. These kids are without their parents, they're without their loved ones, and even if you were stuck for an hour, you would be traumatized. But to be stuck for 9 days, where you have no exposure to the outside world, your sensory system is completely deprived, you go through not just fear, but panic.
If they are alive, they need to hold on just a bit longer. Water levels in the cave drop to their lowest level in days. A combination of the monsoon rains holding off and the constant pumping.
They drained millions upon millions of gallons from the cave system.
In part of the
After
video that I fast
navigating
forwarded,
rushing waters and claustrophobic caverns, the two
you
British
missed how many
finally
pumps they
reached
brought
the
in.
chamber known as Pattaya Beach.
they're trying to suck the water out of the cave.
And the passages beyond are still flooded. The rescuers start to give up hope, but then they swim another 400 yards and make a startling discovery. Huddled on a dark shelf just above the waterline are the 12 boys and their coach.
How many of you? 13.
The kid said, "Can we go now? Can we leave?" Nope, sorry, kid. It's not that easy.
The official spokesman
Oh,
for
please.
WGU I know about.
I got rid of the rest of the commercials.
July 2nd, 2018.
Day 10.
9 days have passed since 12 young Thai soccer players.
The whole world was delighted to hear that they were alive.
exploring the Tam Luang.
Then we hear, like, we don't know if we can get them out. If it starts raining again, they're going to drown.
With monsoon floodwaters filling the pitch-black labyrinth faster than authorities can pump them out. An international team of elite cave divers has been frantically searching the warren of chutes and nooks. But as days tick by, rescuers fear the worst. With hope fading, 2 elite British divers make an extraordinary find.
How many of you? 13. Brilliant.
To their amazement and relief, all 12 boys and their coach are alive.
No, not today. I'll tell you today. There's two of us. You have to know it.
The British divers that located the boys on the 9th day, very, very experienced divers. It was a really good call to get them in there, and they did a fantastic job of locating the boys in no time.
We are coming. It's okay. Many people are coming. Many people. We are the first. Many people coming.
The boys are huddled on a small, damp, muddy ledge, just 6 by 16 feet wide. In a partially flooded chamber 2.5 miles deep into the cave and a half mile below the Doi Nang Nan mountain. They are hungry and exhausted, but safe for now. But being on their own in the cave for so long has taken its toll.
It was 10 days before the boys and the coach were found, and that 10 days must have been extraordinarily difficult, full of many emotions. Not to mention the physical trauma of not being fed.
They were brought some space blankets.
The more body fat you have and the more muscle you have, the longer you can survive. So if you're small, like some of these prepubescent boys are,
They're
it's
skinny.
a lot harder because you don't have as much fat to use as fuel once your blood sugar supplies run out.
They were skinny before this happened to them.
To be able to find the children alive and be able to assist our Thai partners. This is a Thai-led multinational rescue effort, and to see such a wonderful outcome, I think everyone is thrilled.
The divers immediately begin tending to the group's physical needs.
All right, I'm going to hit pause again and fast forward to get to the rescue part.
And they face an even more pressing problem. Oxygen levels in the tight pocket of air surrounding the boys are plummeting to nearly 15%, putting the team at a severe risk.
They're running out of air, out of fresh air.
Hypoxia is a state where you are low on oxygen. Your body requires oxygen to function. When someone is deprived of oxygen, there's a gradual deterioration of organ systems. People can have rapid heart rate, confusion, headaches, difficulty breathing, extreme lethargy. Your heart stops, your lungs stop working, you die.
But the boys' physical condition is just one concern. Being trapped in a cave for 10 days with no immediate rescue plan is also wearing them down psychologically.
If you are not exposed to light for 9 or 10 days, you are being deprived of sensory inputs, and you're facing the
Pausing.
possibility of death.
The realistic way of getting the boys out alive is the most obvious one. Despite all the risks, they must get the boys out the same way they went in.
So somebody had to take that chance and push the button when they did to do it via diving.
Meanwhile, divers continue taking food to the boys and messages from their families, risking their lives every time they dive through the cave's narrow passageways. Some of these narrow passageways are less than 20 inches wide. In the current flooded conditions, they're nearly impassable for a grown man, let alone a diver with an oxygen tank.
Did you catch that? There are spots where they have to take their air tanks off. Okay? They actually have to go underwater, take their air tanks off, and push their air tanks ahead of them. It's that tight. And you're going to expect these soccer players who've never swum in their life to make it out where they can't even see. Okay? That is pretty sketchy. Imagine having your first swim be over a mile and you can't see.
That's an extremely small restriction for an advanced cave diver.
And managing air supply is a crucial part of their journey. Divers must ensure they always have enough air left to make the nearly 2-mile swim to the cave exit.
A cave diver works at a third of an air in, a third of the air to go out, and a third of a backup. If that air runs out, he dies. It's as simple as that.
To ensure the boys don't run out of oxygen, divers like former Thai Navy SEAL Saman Kunan place air tanks along the stretch to where they are stranded. But then, on July 6th, tragedy strikes. On his way back to the cave entrance, Officer Kunan loses consciousness. A fellow diver tries reviving him, but Kunan dies from lack of oxygen.
Sad, of course. That's, I guess, all the thing what we need to concentrate on now for the project we're doing.
Privately, rescuers worry that if an experienced diver like Kunan can't make it,
That's his body
the
being
12
carried
boys,
in a
some of whom
casket.
can't swim nor dive,
He was a hero.
won't stand a chance in the cave's dark conditions.
If a Navy SEAL diver can't do it, how can these guys do it?
So you're doing everything by feel. There's uneven boulder chokes. It's very dangerous when the lights are out.
So rescuers devise a new plan. They believe one possible way to extract the boys and their coach from deep inside the cave is to guide them out by anchoring a thick, heavy rope known as a guideline from the cave's entrance all the way to where the boys are located, and stationing oxygen tanks along the entire route as breathing depots. But this plan is also fraught with risk.
There's a lot of things in cave diving that bring on stress. If stress is not dealt with and eliminated, it's going to escalate and escalate until it gets to the point of panic.
When you panic, you use more air.
During a panic attack,
All right, I'm going to fast forward. So what's the plan? They're going to take each kid out with 2 divers helping him. 1 diver ahead, 1 diver behind. Okay? They're going to do it in 3
a
shifts.
high bar for any beginner. To counter this, the rescuers devise a plan where each boy travels between 2 experienced divers while they guide him out. But even then, the entire process could still take up to 2 days.
Each. Huh.
And
Good
with
grief.
more heavy downpours expected in the coming days, rescuers know they must give the go-ahead soon or miss their only chance to get the group out. Authorities continue pumping millions of gallons of water from the caves, reducing the flooding by nearly 1 centimeter an hour.
Finally, by Sunday morning, they had effectively drained Chamber 3, the U-shaped neck, and they had lowered the levels in Chamber 4 down to about the shoulder length of an adult.
Meanwhile, teams of international divers are on standby.
Fast forwarding.
With relentless monsoon rains threatening to flood the cave again at any moment, the 12 stranded boys and their coach risk drowning in the rising waters or dying from lack of oxygen if rescue efforts don't start now.
Fast forwarding.
And execute a unique and highly technical rescue plan. In this escape plan, 2 divers will each be tethered to a child as they guide them through the 2.5-mile cave complex, half a mile underground. 90 additional divers will be stationed along the route to assist the guides and boys through the terrifying conditions, including rock passages less than 2 feet wide.
There was a couple of small restrictions and possibly one, what we call a gear off restriction, where you have to take your equipment off, pass it through the hole, and then put it back on. That's a dangerous and difficult task even for an experienced diver.
Pausing.
Also,
All right. Now, I haven't watched this video for a year, and I've watched other videos too, and I don't remember if this video is going to tell you the ultimate trick on how we did it. They were worried about these boys panicking, okay? It's going to be dark and dangerous and difficult, and they'd be underwater a long time. So what they did was they knocked them out, because then you're not going to panic, okay? So they gave them medicine to knock them out, and the divers took, 2 divers per kid. And here's the thing. The divers had to memorize the entire cave, but it was too much for a person to remember the whole thing. So divers were put in there, and they had to remember part of the cave, every bump. Okay, so they would haul kids through their section, and they would hand them off to different divers who would memorize a different section. Okay, It was incredible. Now I'm going to hit play again.
Underground, Navy SEALs body cameras captured the unfolding miracle.
Once they were safe,
That's a knocked out
the boys
kid.
were put on stretchers and handed man to man for 1.5 kilometers to daylight and the exit from the cave.
And then, at 5:40 p.m., the moment everyone has waited for. Over 7 hours after divers enter the cave, the first 2 boys emerge.
All right. In the interest of time, since it takes 4 hours for a 25-minute lesson to be uploaded, okay, I'm going to give you the kind of the wrap up. There's a learning curve to this. The first rescues took quite a while, but the divers were learning tricks and shortcuts. And because the rain held off, they were able to bring more kids out faster, and each shift took less time. At the very end, all they had left was rescue divers in the cave, and then a pump broke. And the cave began to flood. And then the rain came, and there's still divers in the cave. And if they didn't get them out, they were going to lose more people. They were going to drown more rescue workers than the 13 they had gone to save. So they barely got the divers out before the cave flooded. It was a scary close call. So in the end, we got all of the soccer team and their coach out. One Navy SEAL died during the prep work to get them out. And then another diver died 18 months later after fighting an infection, and then losing his battle and dying. It was quite sad, but this is an incredible rescue mission. Okay, now this lesson's 27 minutes long, and I'm going to have to stop it now. It's going to be a 4-hour upload.